So in Operation Deadly Omen, Ubisoft has reworked the entire attachment system, making my original video completely outdated. However, despite that, this gives me a reason to update the video and fill everyone in on what's going on. But I don't want to stall any longer, so let's discuss what's changed with the attachments. Now, starting off, the 1.5 scope does not exist anymore. Now, you may be thinking to yourself right now, Tony, you have the 1.5 scope on your gun right now. Well, the casing for the 1.5 is still in the game, however, the reticle is now a 2.5, so it is now an ACOG. And the other variants of the ACOG are also still in the game, so the original ACOG that we saw back in Year 1, and the old Russian ACOG. Now, for transparency, they're not actually called ACOGs in the game. For the original 1.5, the original 1.5 is called Magnified A, the original ACOG is called Magnified B, and for the Russian ACOG, it is called Magnified C. The reason why I am calling them ACOGs, because in the older years of Siege, aka Old Siege, they were referred to as ACOGs. So when someone says that, they are talking about the new scopes. Now, the traditional ACOGs do not affect any other stat other than how far you can see down the scope. But because of that, it may seem like it has more recoil, because again, it's very zoomed out, so it seems like there is more visual recoil than there actually is. In terms of what operators have the ACOG, literally every attacker has the ACOG on like their AR or SMG. That includes the R4C ACOG that was found back in Year 1, and it's still as beautiful as it was. For the operators on defense, Tachanka on his SMG has it, the MP5 operators like Doc, Rook, and Malusi have it, the DMR operators like Tubarao and Aruni for some reason have it, the TCG on Kaid and Goyo have it, and Goyo's Vector now has the ACOG. The C8 or the C9 on Frost, and the UMP on Castle. Going over to the new 1X sights, they have gotten a 5% ADS increase when you have them equipped. So I'm ADSing slightly faster than I would with the ACOG. And this applies to any 1X sight. It could be a red dot, hollow, or reflex. It doesn't matter, you will get that 5% ADS increase. And I can't really tell you which one is better for you because they have their own reticles and, you know, models that may not fit or fit your playstyle. So I would say just hop into a firing range like I am now and see which one you like the most. And lastly, if you run the iron sights on your gun, you can ADS faster by 10%. And as you can see here on Buck, the iron sights aren't really that good and I don't really like them. However, a gun like Fenrir's and Bandit's MP7, it has a very good iron sight. So you get the 10% ADS bonus and you can run these comfortably, basically. Moving over to the laser side, it got a rework. So it no longer reduces your hip fire spread. However, it now increases your ADS speed by 10%. So with a gun that has an ACOG on it, it's very noticeable. However, there's one pretty big issue with the laser sight. And as you can see on the wall, you can see the red dot from the laser on the wall, and so can the enemy.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
So let's say I'm holding an angle on this door. They can see my laser sight, and they can just swing me and have a general idea where my location is. However, if you are playing more aggressively, or if you're playing someone like Ash, who is a more aggressive operator, then you could probably run this laser sight, and you'll be completely fine. So moving over to the grips that you can put on your guns, starting with the vertical grip because it's the most popular for a reason. All it does is just reduces the overall recoil on your gun. Very straightforward and easy to use, and I imagine for majority of your guns, you're going to run this. Now, if you're an older player, then you know the angle grip gave you the ADS bonus that you would see on the new sights. However, they reworked it, and all it does now, it gives you a faster reload speed. And here's what the reload speed looks without the angle grip on the 416. It's very noticeable, and the only issue with this is that obviously you don't have the recoil benefit that the vertical grip does. But if you are playing more aggressively, it's probably a good option for you. And lastly, we have the new horizontal grip, and all this does for you is increases your operator movement speed by 5%. So pretty much, if you have this equipped, Jaeger goes from a 2-speed 2 armor to a 3-speed. But again, you have to sacrifice the recoil from the vertical grip, and you don't get a faster reload speed. All it does is just increases your operator movement. I will say, if you are a newer player, then go ahead and put on the vertical grip so you can get a general idea of what the recoil is. And then if you feel comfortable enough, then you can go over to an angled grip or a horizontal grip if you want to. Finally, going over to your barrel attachments, there are currently 5 in the game, that being the flash hider, compensator, muzzle brake, suppressor, and extended barrel. All the flash hider does is reducing the vertical recoil of your gun, so the up and down recoil. What the compensator does is reduces the horizontal recoil of your gun. So on a gun like the Scorpion, you're going to want to use this. Moving over to the muzzle brake, it reduces the overall recoil during a single fire. So on guns like pistols and DMRs, this is really good. Going over to the suppressor, all it does is makes your gun quieter and removes the muzzle flash that you'll see from your guns. It sounds very satisfying to use on certain guns. So now let's look at the extended barrel. All it does is increases the base damage of your gun and reduces the base damage drop-off. So if we look at a gun like Zero's SU-3000, it does 45 damage. And if you use the test dummy, we can see that it takes 3 shots to kill a 3 armor. And it does a base damage of 135. Now with the extended barrel, it will still take 3 shots, however, and now it does 150 damage. And now because you don't have a flash hider or compensator, it is going to increase the recoil of your gun. However, you can put on a vertical grip to help with that. In terms of what barrel attachment you should be using, it's all depending on what weapon you're using. So again, for Dokubi's DMR, run the muzzle brake. I personally use the flash hider on Buck's AR, and on defense, like with LO Scorpion, like I said, run compensator. And for the suppressor and extended barrel, that's kind of up to you. Try to use guns that have very low recoil in order to run that. So, like Zero's SU-3000, I don't like the recoil, so I don't run the extended barrel. However, a gun like the 5.52 Commando, like I showed, has lower recoil, so I run the extended barrel to get the extra damage. And in terms of suppressor, it's the same thing as the extended barrel. Now, it's going to be a little bit complicated, especially for a newer player, to figure out what attachment should go on what gun.
We could be here all day, literally.
Yeah, thank you, Zero. Jesus God. So to help you out a bit, I'm going to show you what attachments I have on certain guns to hopefully put you in the right directions. So on DMRs, always run an ACOG, because you are not meant to be aggressive with these weapons, and they have really good damage and very low recoil. Now, currently, I'm running an angled grip on this gun, and as you can see at 30 meters, it doesn't really seem that accurate. So if you have troubles, especially at longer ranges, go ahead and just run a vertical grip, and that should fix all of your problems. Yeah, see, that is a lot better. And if you don't feel comfortable running suppressor, always remember to run a muzzle brake, because it's going to make life a lot easier. So now let's look at an operator like Thermite or Ace, which they are meant to open up the wall for side execute. And so it makes a lot of sense to run ACOG on them, because they are typically going to be holding longer lines of sight, especially on the breach. So if you don't want to run the ACOG, then 1X is fine. Thermite and Ace have really good guns in general, so you can kind of get away with both. And because they are holding longer lines of sight, I run always the vertical grip on Thermite and Ace. And on Thermite's 5.56, I run compensator because the horizontal recoil seems a bit bouncy for me, especially when I am engaging at longer fights. But with the AK-12, I run flash hider because it's good enough for the AK. So if we're talking about like an entry fragger like Ash, I probably wouldn't recommend the ACOG, even though it is iconic. But it doesn't really make sense because you're not really taking long-range fights with Ash. And you are playing more aggressively again, so the fights are going to be more close range. So having the ADS bonus of a laser sight and a 1X sight makes a lot more sense. So in terms of defenders, I think an anchoring operator like Doc makes sense to have the ACOG on, because you're holding more angles compared to roamers. However, unlike roamers, I do not recommend the laser sight on these operators, because again, you are holding a lot more angles compared to them. So giving your position away does not make sense. Now, for a roaming operator like Vigil, yeah, I think you're completely fine to run the laser sight on. And that's pretty much everything you need to know about the new attachment system. I hope that helped you out in this video, and I would like to know below which attachments are you going to be running on majority of your guns. But with all that said, this is the end of the video. If you like what I make, I appreciate it if you subscribe, and if you would like to see more videos like this, let me know in the comments below. And also, I'm going to try to stream more on Twitch, so go check out my Twitch channel. But with all that said, I am Carter Tony. I hope you have a good day or good night, and goodbye.